Welcome to my daily review. Today is Wednesday, May 28th, and you are looking at a daily chart of the Nasdaq, which fell 98 points today, or 0 point, call it a half a percent, closed at 19,100, a 9% below the average 50-day volume. This is like a perfect consolidation to the big ramp up from yesterday where, the Nasdaq was up 2.47%. And 461 points. And when you go up 461 points and only give back, 98, that's good consolidation right there. And if you just, want to look at the last, I don't know, couple of weeks, just have this little dip, you have to rally up and go sideways. And this is looking really good on this, this V-shaped recovery here. You're going to get these little, pockets here where it just consolidates big gains, right? Big gains, consolidate, big gains, and then you consolidate some more. And then we just had a big ripper, and now we just consolidated about 2 weeks here. So this is looking pretty good from my eyes. And you can see here these last couple of weeks here, big rally up. And then last week it gave back, I don't know, what did I say, 2.48% or something. So 2 weeks ago, yeah, I was up 7.15%, get back 2.47 last week, and this week it's up, 2%. So yeah, just chugging right along, doing beautifully. The index looks to me like it just wants to make new highs, but take it one day at a time. That's all. I do need to switch this here. Yeah, because I was looking at leading stocks. So I'm going to switch back to the 10 EMA, if you will, here because the Nasdaq pulled back and undercut, underneath the 10 on Friday, and then on Tuesday we come back from a 3-day weekend, have this face ripper rally, and then today, like I said, only gives back 98, but still above the 10, 1%, 3.2% above the 21, 8.4% above the 50, and 3.5% above the 200. You can see that the 21 now has traded through the longer term moving averages, so these short term moving averages are now trending, in the right direction as we like them. And speaking of trends, today I'm just gonna go to stocks that are showing relative strength that are in trends because there's some confusion at mcstockcharts.com where I post a relative strength chart. I log every morning, these stocks that are showing relative strength and they're going to change, and you have to watch these stocks every day because some of them they crash and burn, they fall out, so and when the trend bends at the end, you gotta adios muchachos. So I'm going to go through those today. I'm going to go through some earnings from this morning and last night, and this afternoon we had a couple of earnings reports as well. This is the Nasdaq, and when the Nasdaq is doing this kind of stuff, Tesla just a flat day, looks very similar. Apple, after being down 8 consecutive days, has been up now 2 days in a row. Woohoo! We're on a rally here. We're on a roll. Microsoft, yeah, just a nothing burger. So I'm not going to go through all those. Meta was one that I'm going to go over later because that one was on our ready list. I think I wrote it down. Yeah, Meta was on our ready list, and it hasn't moved. It's still, nice cup with handle pattern there. But anyway, I'm going to get away from the Nasdaq. I'm going to get away from the indexes, the SPY, the Dow Jones. I don't care because leading stocks will tell us how the market is doing. And then before I get to those stocks, I want to just go through some earnings reports from last night. What's in the box? And that is from the movie Seven, Brad Pitt. And what's in the box is a 17% gain here with massive volume. And that is a move not to be ignored, Dan. That is a breakout from a double bottom base. If you take a look at the chart here, and some people are like afraid of it, like it's too extended. These are ones you want to pay attention to because a lot of times, if you take a look at the first 100 pages of William O'Neill's How to Make Money in Stocks, he goes through these model book stocks that make these massive runs, and a lot of them start just like that. Yeah, this big move, breakout, start moving higher, and what drives them, are typically for longer term are, sales and earnings growth, which this one doesn't really have. But anyway, I would definitely pay attention to box. Okay, on the other side of the spectrum, Okta reported last night, and some people were saying, "Oh, you got to buy it. You got to buy it. It's at 110. It's at 108. It's at 107. It's at 105." No, I do not buy falling knives, and you can see this one just gapped down and sold off all day. There was no buying here. There's nothing to buy when a stock does this. Conversely, when a stock does what Box did, you want to put that on your focus list or your watch list. But when Okta does something like this, slices of 50 with heavy volume, hell no, you stay away from that. I'm sorry. If I want to buy something in the cybersecurity space now, it's Zscaler, CrowdStrike, or Rubrik, and that's it. You got to be a little more picky. I know that bull market, an uptrending market will kind of it'll it's a multitude of sins will survive in an uptrending market. It's very forgiving that way, but don't test it and don't be trying to buy these things that are diving here, these falling knives. That's, you can do whatever the hell you want, but that's not my style. I don't do that at all. Heiko, yeah, I'm just adverse to that. This one reported last night, aerospace and defense. We know I point out, just about every night, all these strong stocks in aerospace and defense. And this one was up 7.42%. I have to mention another one, JOBY. This one was up nearly 30% on announcement contract. And then ACHR, we had this one on the regular list recently, and it didn't do anything. And then I took it off, and then it was like 2 weeks ago, it was up, yeah, 50% in a week. So yeah, that just happens. That's part of trading. So you get impatient, you don't stick with it. But anyway, these aerospace and defense names are on in fuego. All right. Who else reported? Oh, this morning, the almighty Macy's. The mall is dead. People shop, online. So Macy's, yeah, just yeah, nothing burger there. I don't even know why I put that up there. Dick's, I think, is in trouble too. They bought Foot Locker. I don't know why. I think they spent 2.9 billion to buy Foot Locker. They don't need Foot Locker. I guess if people want to go buy stuff at this, a Yeti or a baseball glove or golf clubs, they go to Dick's or whatever, Crocs. But I mean, you can order all this stuff online nowadays, so I don't know. Golf clubs, you can certainly go there and hit in their bays and buy clubs, but there's always the PGA stores in town as well. Anyway, Dick's, nearly a 2% move, but this thing's been beaten down. A lot of the retail names have been beaten down and kind of making a bottom. You can see with Dick's here, it made that low of 166.37, then retested the low recently at 167, and then now it's at 177. So that looks like it could be a low as it consolidates in a base. We've seen a lot of retail names like Urban, just come straight up off the lows. They're starting to show signs that they're done going down. All the bad news is priced in. Even Decker's there retested that 93 there at 96. They couldn't push it any lower. So it goes higher. And I don't want to get into all the retail names, but there is another one that I could post, and that's Abercrombie and Fitch. Once again, made the low of 65, retested it at 66. It held, and now look at it, it's at 88. So, it had a big move today up above 100 and then got rejected like Mutombo. Thing was slapped down, closed 8% of its daily range at 88 when it was 104. So that's quite a beatdown. But still, I mean, if you're long and you're up 15%, you're saying, well, hallelujah, it's better than 66 or 65. Anyway, that's it for earnings. And I told you I wanted to get to these leading stocks. Every morning I post stocks at the bottom of the page, but I'm going to start posting at the top of the page so people understand the criteria I use is usually 25, 27, $30 stocks that are trading 1% above their 10, 2% above their 21, 3% above their 50, 4% above their 150, and 5% above their 200-day lines. Okay. And so those are trending higher. I'm not saying that they're buys, but they're trending higher. In fact, most of them are probably extended. These stocks also need to have some volume with them. So there's not all stocks are going to something like Dave, it's just been on a roll, but it doesn't qualify because it just doesn't have the volume. But still, I mean, that's the type of stock that I'm talking about, a trend trader. Now that I'm going to the trending stocks, the relative strength stocks, whatever you want to call them, in a bull market, this is what you see. These stocks that are being supported at their five, when they pull back to the five, that's it. That's all you're going to get. And then they trend higher. Now, at some point, they will crash and burn. We saw TGTX was on this list here. It was trending nicely, and all of a sudden it got up to 46, and whoo, then it just, does the little okey doke, and now it's trying to form a bottom and find a low there. So, that came off the board. Palantir came off the board below the 10. Dutch Bros came off. So they're not going to stay up there forever. They have to keep performing day after day, and you have to keep watching it day after day. Hims and hers fell off. Here's one that I liked. It was really, yeah, CoreWeave. This is one that I like because it just rips so much. So anyway, after hours up. Anyway, I'm going to get to all that. I digress. Anyway, I get excited about stuff like this because this is where, in an uptrending market, this is where you outperform. If you have a goal like me just to beat the S&P, this is when you step on the gas during this time, when the market's in an uptrend, and it's not going to last forever. It might last another 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, but this is when we want to make hay. And then when the index starts to put on the brakes and start going down start coasting down the other side of the mountain, that's when we step off the gas, right? But for right now, these are the stocks that I'm interested in. I'm not saying they're all buy points. I think there's 3 or 4 of these 25 names that I have on my ready list that are near what I would call proper buy points. But still, if you're watching these and they pull back during the session like App11 did today, this thing had a nice pullback to 375 and it closed at 390. So if you're paying attention, that's what I'm saying. You have to be very active trader. You have to be watching it. You can't be stuck in meetings at work and trying to trade these because they fall off quick. They appreciate and they advance rapidly, and they also, they fall off rapidly. So this is for more active traders. This is app 11. You can see it's meets the criteria. Why? Well, it's above it's above the 5. It's above the 21, the 50, and only 49% above this 200. These are moving averages, or what I call stacked. The faster, the medium, and the slowers, are stacked as they should be. And every time it pulls back, it's getting support at the 5. So app 11 is, yeah, I'm just going to go through them alphabetically as I wrote them down that were on the list this morning. And like I say, it changes every day. This is Amir Sports. Now, this one gapped up, another retail name, right? Gapped up after earnings. What did it do, though? It just traded sideways, 3 or 4 session, pulled back to the 5, found support, bounced yesterday, 4%. What did it do today? Inside day, allowing that moving average to catch up. Now, tomorrow, this thing could trade down $1, hit that 5, and then trade up $2. I mean, that's what you got to watch for, and that's why you have to be really nimble and flexible when you're trading these things. So, and I think, most people at MZ Stock Charts are, that type of trader. Anyway, Chewy, another one, and you can see these things all have the same type of profile, right? Is that they're just trending along the 5, finding support. The index, remember, went sideways last week. What did it do? Just went sideways. Actually, the index went down 2.5%. This thing just went sideways. Ramp up on Tuesday, and now just, a little give back to the 5. This thing could roll over and come down to the 21 and come off the board, but it could also find support and bounce a couple of bucks as well. So yeah, these are the stocks that I am watching. CLS pull back to its 5 today. Maybe it gets a little bit of a boost. The at the end of the session today, the president tweeted about, or there was an announcement about curbs on these sales design chip designers to China. So just, a lot of stuff sold off just to be cautious ahead of the NVIDIA earnings as well. But anyway, CLS leading stock now rebounding after hours. I think it's going to bounce off that 5. I might put this on the ready list tomorrow. You can see it's been consolidating in this space for a long time. Finally, it was up 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks, pulled back 1 week, 1%. Now it's up a couple more weeks, and this week it's down 1%. That might be all you get there with these leading stocks. They're not going to give you, these big, beautiful bases and form these perfect handles for you to buy. Those are pretty rare. Leading stocks, they want to go higher. So that's what they're going to do, whether you own them or not. CORT, this is one I'd stay away from. I talk about some of this stuff on here is junk and speculative. I'm not calling this junk because it does have sales and earnings. It's speculative. It hasn't proven itself yet. but you can see it's trending nicely along the five there. And I know people do not like biotech right now. That group has been really tough to trade. CRDO, computer tech company and AI company. Yeah, this one's up big after hours. Once again, pulled back to the five today, and this is what I'm talking about here. I showed you this in the weekend and yesterday, these little shelf or ledge patterns pull back, where the Nasdaq was, down 2.47%. This one was up last week, and that's the tell, right? It doesn't want to go down. It was up 2.74% while the Nasdaq was down 2.5%. Now what does it do? It's up 1.5% this week. Pull back to the five today. I might put that one on the ready list tomorrow because I would say that it would be a buy over that 65.09, the high from this week, and it's already there. So you got to chase, you got to chase away. All right, and the one I posted earlier that I think, I don't know, man. I don't know about this stock. It's giving me nightmares. I want to get back into it, be honest with you. And if I could, type in the ticker name, it would be helpful. This is CoreWeave, and it's not even coming back to the five here. It had been doot, but the last couple times here, barely kissed it there. 96.03 didn't quite get there. A buck above. Yesterday pulled back. What was the five? 105. It came down to 107, so like $2.5. Today it pulled back. The five is 108.94. Call it 109. The low is 113, so $4 above. And now it's just taken off, on NVIDIA earnings, which I'm going to get to in a minute. But God, I like that one a lot, because it just wants to go higher. There's going to be a lot of people saying it's overvalued, blah, blah, blah. But to me, over 125 tomorrow, man, it's go time because I think it's going to go to 130 and 140. And this is just, if you study those IPO stocks that do this, they can rip a lot longer than you would expect them to before they pull back and get into their, a bigger type of a base. All right. What else do I have? Oh, Carvana. This is one. I think I have this on my ready list. Yeah. Okay. I have this on the ready list this week. Why? Well, because it formed that ledge, last couple of weeks, 7, 8 trading sessions when the Nasdaq pulled back, this thing went higher. And now this week, yeah, it's up 5.3%. Pretty sure I put that one on the ready list this week. Let me look at my list. Yeah, this one's on. I said $300. Now it's at 320. So if you didn't catch it, are you chasing it? Yeah, kinda. Today's high was 323.13. I don't know. If it wants to go above there, I would just, people talk about chasing and, eat the market is, you got to read the market. Like I say, the market direction and stock selection is how you're going to be successful in the market. The market direction is going higher, and these leading stocks are going higher. So yeah, you kind of have to chase them a little bit. I would say scale in, a 10% position. I mean, like I said, if you want to buy 100 shares, you buy 10. And then maybe, if it pulls in a little bit, you can buy 15 or whatever and try to scale in that way. Don't ape in and just buy all at once because when it pulls back, you're going to be underwater and you're going to want to sell, at a 5% loss or whatever. So don't be doing that. Scale in. All right. But that is another one that I like. This is Brinker, and this one's going to probably show up on our ready list here soon. Why? Because I talked about the retail names and they seem like they've, kind of bottomed here. This one had this cup with handle, not quite the double bottom base, but there's your little handle here. Then it popped off the moving averages, rallied up, and today just had an inside day. So I like it above yesterday's high, Tuesday's high. Tuesday's gone with the win, 167.58. So yeah, if it can trade above there with some power and hold there, yeah, that would be a buy for me. Or you might even go the 165.34. I mean, there's a couple of buy points on this one. But definitely traded above its down trending line here. So to me, this is kind of like the safer buy when it did that yesterday. And then your stop, of course, would be a 5% stop, or, don't let it trade below that low of 158. So anyway, lots of ways to play. Eat, which is Brinker and GEV. I got a lot of questions on this one today. It's just doing like Rubrik's doing, right? Oh my God, it's up 500. Arr. Yeah, I told some people just buy small, if you want to buy it, just buy small. Don't ape in. because it's probably going to meet resistance at 500 and then pull back a little bit. And you're probably going to get a chance there if you don't own this one. I forget when I had this one on the ready list, maybe last week or the week before, but man, it's just this is what tells you, we're in a bull market, above all the moving average here, just pulling back to the five, very consistent pattern here. So close with that hammer candle today. Yeah, 88% of the daily range. The high was 487. Of course, everything kind of pulled back into the close because of that announcement from the president. Yeah, there you can see a little, cave into the close. And then after hours, now they're chasing again. Shoot, it's already up to 500. Yeah, I really like of all the energy names, I like that one, but there are others too. Robinhood, this one is hanging in there. This looks again like the cup with handle. I know people are talking about. It's a double top, 66.91. There's really your cup with handle right there. And then it popped up, and now it's making this a ledge type pattern here. Inside day today as it pulled back to its five. You can see that closing near the low of the session. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see this one take off from 66.91. Yesterday, it traded above it, 67.13, and then recoiled real fast, like a werewolf when it sees the sun, just right here. It saw the sun and just, like a turtle going back into its shell, just like, I can't make a new high just yet, but it will. All right, how I met, I'm not going to say how I met my wife. It's just an aerospace and defense stock that's making new highs every damn day. Surfing the five, I mean, it can't get more clear than this. If you're a trend trader like I am, that's a dream right here, folks. I mean, I dream of charts like this at night. Man, just give me something like that. Just making new highs, not every day. I mean, it pulled back to the five, right? It gave you a chance to get in. You didn't take it, it ran up. It gave you a chance to get in. You didn't get it, it ran up. It'll give you another chance to get in. Just watch it, and if it decides to crater, then it's adios muchachos. But for right now, that is a beautiful, beautiful trend. IONQ, this is a group of quantum names that kind of scare me a little bit. They don't have the fundamentals that I like, but I mean, you cannot quarrel with the technicals here. This one, surfing the five. I forget why these things ramped up. There was some news last week. I forget, I go through so much stuff. My brain's cluttered. But anyway, you can see it pulled back to the five today and bounce. It was down a couple of bucks. Saw some people saying, yeah, I'm going to buy that one. I say, that's a pretty good idea. There at the bottom this morning, what, 44.65, and just all day long buyers. So, yeah, technically fantastic. Fundamentally, not so much. KTOS, another aerospace and defense name, top five group. This one just, yeah, got a little overheated and had an inside day today, just minding the five, right? So the five today was at 36.60. Yesterday it was 36.24. So what's it going up? 36 cents a day, 35.30. So every couple of days it goes up a buck. Let it come in a little bit to that five. If you're interested in aerospace and defense stock, I kind of like GE or Helmet, but that one's doing fantastic. NBIS, this is the old Yandex, a Russian company. They rebranded. Now they're a Netherlands company. But this one has the David Ryan Ant showing up already. They reported earnings, pull back to the five, found support, now trading above it. You can see on all these stocks, the five and the 21 have traded through the slower term moving averages, which just indicates, nice trend. It's up after hours as well. I think we're going to have a good day tomorrow, folks. Just a guess. All right. Cloudflare, another one. Man, I should put this one on the ready list. Did I? Yeah, I did. Beautiful. Flat day today, but still, I mean, it's got this shelf pattern here, or the ledge, the flat ledge, and then popped yesterday up, yeah, 2.5%. So not bad for Cloudflare. You could see, excuse me, I'm sorry for toggling back and forth. On the weekly, though, you could see this, cup shape pattern here. Later stage base, stage three, 15 weeks in length, 50% in depth. But, the way the market corrected, if it doubled, what did I say? The Nasdaq corrected 27%. So it doubled essentially the Nasdaq, as which growth stocks do. I would, I don't know if I wanted to buy this one, Friday was the day as it pulled back here, and now it's, up above the five. Just wait till it pulls back to the five. Um, I keep saying that over and over again, don't I? So on Friday, the low was 154, the five was 156, so it undercut it a little bit. Now yesterday is 162, today the high was 163. It just seems like it wants to go higher. Netflix, this is the first one out of the gate. They reported earnings earlier and ripped after earnings. You could see the double bottom base pattern just minding the five here. Nice quiet day today. That's what you want to see on these pullback days. Just go sideways. Don't give me this big, big candle here. Just a nice tight candle. What's the high and the low today? Yeah, what was it? Like $9, man, on a $1,200 stock. That's tight trading, folks. All right. NNE, another one of these, nuclear names that I'm not real thrilled about because they don't have the fundamentals, but certainly the technicals. They had news when President Trump signed the executive order for the not uranium, the nuclear stocks. Yeah, uranium, yeah, mining, and this one popped higher, now pulled back to the five. I wouldn't be surprised to see that one bounce tomorrow. Another one in the group, OKLOs. These ones are back to back. And this one's having a short squeeze. So sometimes you got to, recognize a pattern in a stock. And so since this thing was announced, the dips are being bought because every time it pulls back, the shorts are buying, right? They're covering, right? This thing pulls back here after a big ripper day, and it just gets bought all day. It pulls back a little bit, bought, pulls back a little bit, bought, pulls back a little bit every time. Today it pulled back. I was watching it and immediately ripped up. Now it sold off into the close. I mean, sold off. It was still up 2.5% today. But, I would expect it to make a new high, maybe not tomorrow, but what's tomorrow? Thursday, maybe by Friday. The high today was 57.57. The old high is 59.14. I know folks with those June 20th 60 calls, and they're pretty active. I think it'll probably get there by June 20th, if not by Friday. Very strong stock. Roblox. I got Roblox. I've got rubric. These things are nice as well. Just trending on the five rubric. I talk about this one every day. Obviously, I own it. I like it, and I'm going to get to the earnings here in a minute, but yeah, rubric. They're going to report next week. Like I said, breaking out of the double bottom base, just trending higher. That is a trend trader's dream. And okay, I'm going to stop there. Go back to another nuclear name or a yeah, alternative energy. And this one ramped with the executive order from President Trump on Friday. And then Tuesday came back with I don't know, 17.5% gain. Today made a new high and then pulled back. Still, you can see it's 13% above the five. So that's getting a little stretched for my blood. So, yeah, you should be taking profits a little bit there and not expecting it to continue to just rip higher. And it's got to allow time for that five to catch up. Man, there used to be another R on here. I think I blew it. This wasn't on our screen today. It should be. It's got the volume. It's well above the five. Anyway, that one looks good as well. Rocket Lab. And then I showed you SMR. SOC, this is one of the few strong oil and gas stocks. Oh, it's going to be off today. Look what happened, 15%. Like I said, sometimes they crash and burn. So Sable Offshore is off the list. It's going to get cut out. And then the last one is Urban. Like I said, these retailers are starting to show, signs that they don't want to go down anymore. And Urban reported recently nice run with Abercrombie and Fitch and some of these other ones that we've seen. They might be done going down. All right, some other names that I have on my ready list, I just want to explain to the folks at mcstockcharts.com. This is DoorDash, and I'm a little bigger picture here on DoorDash. You can see the monthly, just setting up in a base. This is like Robinhood and Dutch Bros. These are all like 2021 IPOs that sold off during the bear market, then came back during the recent bull, and now they're just kind of marking time here before trading higher. And maybe Dutch Bros will get back on our list tomorrow morning. It's above the five, right? Yeah, one at one point. Okay. Anyway, I digress. DoorDash, yeah, I had this on the ready list. Double bottom base. They had a secondary offering, so I was interested to see how they handled it, and it handled it well. Just pulled back to the five. Today it was up a buck, but I mean, today the index was down. It wasn't a real rally day today, but maybe tomorrow will be a different story. I'm going to leave that one on. Meta Platforms. Now, the FTC has closed their case with the Meta Platforms. It's in the hands of the judge. It's not going to be decided today or tomorrow or next week, but the judge will decide if, they're going to split up, I don't know, Instagram or WhatsApp or whatever they see fit, or they might just leave it whole. I don't know. It's hard to say either way with Meta Platforms. I don't think they have a monopoly. I mean, because I go on Reddit and Twitter or X. There's Snapchat, TikTok. There's a lot of options. I don't really get it, but they're going to FTC, is in the hands of the judge now. So you do have that risk that could come down the pike at any day, but probably won't for a month or two because they don't work very fast if you haven't noticed. NRG, one that I put on the list, and I really like this flag pattern here. It ramped up after earnings and now just kind of doing this. It's not giving back its gains, is it? Just forming this little flag pattern. This is going to pop pretty soon. I shouldn't say that so matter of factly. I think it's going to trade above that 161.78. Yeah, make a new high here. Yeah, yeah, that would be my professional opinion for NRG. But they can do anything that they want. Palantir, this is one that I mentioned earlier, was off the list. It's doing that. It's kind of like a double handle thing. This is an elongated handle, and believe me, these mega cap tech stocks, they can do this for longer than you would hope or longer than you would imagine. So it could pop tomorrow and it could stay in this like handle for a week. So Palantir is going to do what it wants to do. It had news today, didn't do much. So yeah, that concerns me a little bit. I want to see that one trade higher. It is definitely a leader in that software group. Tesla, I had because it made that little ledge as well. Well, the index pulled back last week. This just went flat back to the five, popped yesterday and just, yeah, down 1% today. But it's going to start making new highs again. I'm going to leave this one on the ready list for tomorrow because I think it'll take out the 363.79 tomorrow, make a new high. Well, I shouldn't say a new high, a new recent high. How about that? Since the this April 7th reversal and the moving averages trading through the faster moving averages trading through the slower moving averages. So that one looks good. CrowdStrike. Another one that I like and pop, it's getting a little extended here. Just had an inside day today. I think I took it off my highlighted list. It's still on the ready list and still viable. You just watch for that five and it comes back to the five, man, and you can start nibbling like a fish nibbles on bait. VST, another energy name that I like. So I have GEV, NRG, VST. These are all stocks that are really nice. 163.87. This one again had this little ledge pattern, this flat little ledge as the Nasdaq pulled back. This one went higher on Tuesday, had this a quiet day today, and tomorrow I bet you it makes a high above the high from today, which was what? 165.74. It's a 167 after hours. We can never count on after hours. What else do I have on my list? I think I went through all of them. AppLovin, Carvana, Cloudflare, DoorDash, Meta, Energy. Okay. I might add another couple tomorrow based on the information that we got tonight. Anyway, that's it for me. Thank you for watching at mcstockcharts.com. We never give up, except for we always like to honor the great Steve Jobs, who would say, stay hungry, stay foolish, and I would say, stay humble. And I just got to get to some of the earnings reports tonight, some of the important ones I got to get out of the way. Elf reported it's up after hours. It dipped a little bit. It had, I want to say, 4% sales growth. They bought Haley Bieber's company. I forget the name of it. I forget the name of it. Doesn't matter. I'll have it in the morning. This thing was down to like 80 bucks after hours, and now it's at 90. So yeah, it's moving around a lot. A lot of moving parts in this report because they didn't give forward guidance. The CEO was saying, the tariffs are a little causing some uncertainty, and they manufacture their stuff in China, so he's got a legitimate point. They still are, taking market share, and their margins are fantastic, but and then they beat estimates. It's just, they didn't give guidance because of the tariff. So it's nice to see it just flat after hours. AI reported also, and this had a nice move after hours, 13%. I think they missed, and it doesn't matter. It's up 13 14% anyway. Who else reported tonight, folks? Oh, VEEV Systems. This is a software medical name, up 16%. Great. That's fantastic. I love to see that. Sentinel one. See, this is what I talk about in this cybersecurity space. CrowdStrike had that glitch last summer, and people thought, oh, Sentinel one's going to take their market share. No way, Jose. I tell you, there's three stocks that I like, and that's Zscaler, Rubrik, and CrowdStrike, and you can kind of diss the rest of them. Fortinet's a great company. Um, Looks decent as well. Hey, well, here, what else? Oh, Palo Alto Networks is a big kahuna in the group. That one's, it depends on your, time frame and what you want out of a stock. This one's got the cash flow, return on equity. It's a little slower mover, got a lot of shares outstanding, but it's a great company. But for me, for a growth stock trend trader, it's a Zscaler, Rubrik, and CrowdStrike. Anyway, Sentinel One getting a little haircut tomorrow, it looks like. All right. What else we have going on after hours? NTNX. This is another one of those software names, not doing much. That one usually moves a lot after earnings, so I'll have more in the morning on that one. And then, oh yeah, the important one was the Dow Jones Industrial Average stock from San Francisco, run by the great Mark Benioff, and it's up a buck. Okay, so not no great shakes there. And then, of course, Jensen at NVIDIA, 141.60. And this is why I say I think we're going to have a big day tomorrow. Yeah, that's good for NVIDIA. Maybe it can get back up to the old highs there of what, 150, was it 153.13? Yeah, let's see it bounce off the five. So maybe that one will start showing up on our trending stocks soon enough. Heck yeah, with 5% moves. This is going to move, everything in tech. It's going to move the QQQs. I always go to the TQQQs because this is for the adrenaline junkies. It's you know, um, three times a daily performance of the QQQs, the Nasdaq 100. This one's up almost 2% after hours. And, when a big company like this reports, it usually lifts, the rest of these. So they're up a little bit, a 0.5% for Microsoft. Apple, of course, beats it, its own drum. That might have news as well. Tesla up 1%. So this one is going to drive these mega cap tech stocks tomorrow. And it's also going to help out, the data center plays, I believe, like SMCI, yeah, up 2% after hours. And the one that I mentioned earlier, CoreWeave, I believe this one's going to rip tomorrow. And now it's down. It's down, what, 121? Close at 123. We'll have to see what that thing does tomorrow. This thing moves a lot, but I wouldn't be surprised to see it make a high above 125.02. And who knows, they might have news as well. Anyway, that's it for me. Thank you for watching at mcstockcharts.com. We never give up.